This session will focus on implementing the sign-in functionality using JWT, also known as JSON Web Token for the project MicroTask Hub. Authentication is a critical component in modern web application because it ensures that only authorized users can access the protected resources. This session we will understand how JWT-based authentication works and how front-end and back-end system communicates securely. By end of the session, you will be able to understand the workflow and the implementation of user authentication using JWT, design a secure authentication APIs using Spring Boot and Fast API integration concepts, validate user credentials securely, generate and manage JWT token after successful login, understand the components of JWT such as header, payload, and signature, test sign-in APIs using Swagger UI, integrate front-end sign-in forms with back-end APIs, store JWT tokens securely in the front-end application. This session is important because JWT authentication is widely used in modern distributed system and microservices architecture. Now let us understand what JWT is. JWT stands for JSON Web Token. It is a compact and secure way of transmitting authentication information between the system. A JWT token is generated after successful login and is used to verify user identity, access protected APIs, maintain authentication without storing the session data on the server. The token contains three parts. One is header, payload, and signature. Header contains the information about the token type and encryption algorithm. Payload contains user-related information such as user ID, username, roles, etc. Signature are used to verify that the token has not been modified during the transaction. These three parts are encoded and combined to form a final JWT token. This structure ensures secure and reliable authentication. Now let us understand the sign-in workflow. First, user enters login credential in the front end. Front end sends request to the backend through the authentication API. Backend validates the username and password. If credentials are valid, JWT token is generated. Token is returned to the front end. Front end stores the token securely and uses it for future API request. This process enables secure access to the protected resources. Let's start implementation. Open all three projects, front end, gateway service, and core service, and execute it. First, open front end in VS Code. Convert the terminal into command prompt mode and execute it by using the command npm run dev. Then enter O. The output will be opened in the browser. Then open the project gateway in VS Code and convert the terminal into command prompt. Activate the virtual environment. Then start its execution by using the command python followed by the file name run.py. Then open core services in Spring Tools and go to the project src main Java. Then open the package mth.service. Open the file user services.java. Next to the sign-off method, we are going to create a method to perform sign-in operation. Let us start create a method for sign-in. Access specifier is public and return type as object and name of the method is sign-in. It receives data from the front end in the form of JSON. So create object using a map and set data type for the key as a string and value as a object. Inside, create object for response by using map and set string as a data type for key and object as a data type for value and name of the object as response and initialize by using new operator followed by the class as map. Then create a try catch block to handle the exception. Then finally return the response object. Inside try block, we can write a logic to validate received username and password. If the received username and password is not found in the database table, we can return the error message invalid credential. Suppose the username and password is present in the table, we must generate a token and return as a response. For generating JWT token, we need to add the required number of dependencies. For adding a dependency, go to the browser, take a new tab, and go to the website mvnrepository.com and start search by using the keyword JWT-API and click on the search button. It will perform search and bring the result based on the keyword which you used for search. Then click on the first link, then choose the latest version 0.13.0, then copy the dependency details and go to the project. Then open a file form.xml and find the end tag dependencies. Just above to the end tag of dependencies, create a space and paste it. Then align it properly. Then search another dependency which is supporting to generate JWT token. Go to the website MVN repository and search by using the keyword JWT-IMPL. Then search and click on the first link and choose the latest version. Then copy dependencies, return back to form.xml and paste it. Then repeat the same procedure. Go to the webpage MVN repository and search by using the keyword JWT-Jackson. Then search, click on the first link and choose the latest version. Copy the dependencies, return back to the project inside form.xml just above to end tag of dependencies and paste it. Now we added all three dependencies which is supporting to generate a JWT token. Then save form.xml and close. Update the project. If we make any changes in form.xml, we must update the project. So right click on the project name and use the option Maven update project. Enable the checkbox for force update and click on OK. We can see the progress on the bottom right corner. So it will download all the required libraries and make it available in the local repository for implementation. Then go to the package mth.service, add a new Java class for JWT token generation. Name the class as JWT service. Then open the class in the editor and convert it into a service class by adding the annotation @service. Inside, create a data member to hold the secret key and make it as a final. So final string secret key and initialize with a lengthy base64 value. So let me use all the keys available in my keyboard. And also I will add all the keys in capital letters. Then include all the number keys. So if the value of secret key is lengthy, it's very difficult for the hackers. Then create object for secret key as a final. For the interface secret key, use control space and find it is available from the package crypto. I just name the object as key and initialize by using the class keys from the package JSON web token and call the method max SHA key for and pass the value of secret key which is declared in the previous step and convert into bytes. If the data members are declared using a final key, it becomes a constant, it cannot be modified. Then create a method for generating a token. We can take two things as an input. One is username and user role. Then create object payload using a map to add users data. So map and set data type string for the key and object for the value. Name the object as payload and initialize by using new hash map. Then add username and role into the payload. So payload dot put user name and value from the parameter username, and payload dot put role value from the parameter role. Now the payload is ready. Then we can generate a token and return as a base64 object. So add a return statement. Use the class JWTs from the JSON web token package and call the method builder to generate a token. Actually, it is a single line. I'm going to write it as a multi-line for better understanding. And then call the method claims to add a payload into the token. Then set the time of issuing a token by using the method issued at and pass current date and time by creating object for the date class. Then set expiry by using the method expiration. So we can set the expiry as 1 day from the current date and time. So create object for the class date and set current date time by using the method get time by adding 1 day in milliseconds, that is equal to 864 followed by 5 zeros. Then sign the token by using the secret key. So for that we can call the method sign with and pass key as a input. Then convert the generated token in base64 by using the method compact and return as a base64 object. Then go to user service.java, go to top, create object for the class JWT service by using the annotation @autowired, and the name of the class is JWT service and create object for it. Then go to sign in method. Inside try block, we can write a logic for validating username and password and generate a token. For validating username and password, there is no predefined function in JPA, so that we need to add a JPA query for validating username and password. Go to PG admin and use query tool for the table users and execute select query to bring all the records from the table. So select star from table name users and execute it. It will bring all the records from the table. To check if the username and password is valid, we need to add a condition by using where and email equal to some value and password equal to some value. If these two values are matched, it will bring a record from the table. Suppose user provides either username or password are wrong, it try to find the inputs with the database table. If no match is found, it returns a null value. So this is the query will help us to validate a particular username and password is present in the table or not. The next we need to convert the plain SQL query into a JPA query and add it in the users repository. So go to the package mth.repository, open the file users repository.java. Here we can add @query and create a method public return type as object I just name the method as validate credential with the two parameters. One is email and another one is password. Here we can write a query to validate email and password from the database table. Select star from the table name users. While writing a JPA query, the table name is replaced with the entity class. We have an entity class in the package mth.model. The name of the class is users. So we can use the entity class in the place of table users and create object for the entity class user. So the star will be replaced with the object name. So the query is select u from the entity class user followed by its object and condition where u dot email equal to colon the parameter email and password u dot password equal to colon the parameter password. Now we need to map the parameter email and password which is used in the query with the parameters of a method validate credential. For mapping, we can use the annotation @param within bracket, provide the name of the parameter which is used in the query. Similarly, for the second parameter @param within bracket, provide a name of the parameter used in the query. So now the query is added in the users repository for validating username and password. Then go to user service.java. Inside try block, create object for the class entity class users. I just name the object as u equal to use the object of user repository. It is already declared in the class. The object is ur. So we can use the object of user repository and call the method which is added recently in users repository.java, that is validate credential, and pass username and password as an input. So the username and password is available in the parameter object data. So from data we can get username and from data we can get password. Now we need to convert the value of username and password into a string by using .toString method. Now the function validate credential takes username and password as an input and performs validation with the database table. If the data is found and returns the data, if data is not found and returns null. Now we need to apply a type conversion here for the entity class users. Then validate a condition. If the value of u equal to null, then we need to throw the error message, throw new exception with a message invalid credential. If not equal to null, we can send a response with success code 200 and JWT token. So take response object and add a code number 200. Next, response dot put message as validation success. Then response dot put JWT token. Next, we can use the object of JWT service and call generate token method. This method takes two input. One is user's email and role. We can get those values by using the get methods. So u dot get email and then u dot get role. If any error or exception, that is handled by the catch block. So set response object with the code number 500 and response dot put message e dot get message. Then start the application. Right click on the project name, run as Spring Boot app. Once it is started, go to the browser, take a new tab and open Swagger UI for Spring Boot application. That is localhost colon 8001 slash swagger hyphen UI slash index.html. As of now, there is only one endpoint. Next, we need to add a new endpoint to perform sign-in operation. So go to the package mth.controller, open the file userscontroller.java, create a new endpoint by using the annotation @post mapping and set endpoint name as slash signin. Then create a method, public return type as object and method name signin. This will receive the input from the request body. So add the annotation @request body and receives input in the form of JSON. So create object for the map and set string as a data type for key and object as a data type for value. I just name the parameter as data. Then add return statement. Use object of user service and call the method signin and pass the parameter data as an input. Then save. Once the project is restarted, go to the browser, refresh on the Swagger page. Now we can get new endpoint sign in. Click on it, then click on try it out for testing. So we can pass only two values. One is username and another one is password. Username and another one is password. So pass a valid username for testing. Valid username and password means it must be available in your database table. Then click on the execute button and check for the response. It generates a token and returns. As discussed, the token has three parts: header separated by dot, then payload separated by dot, then the signature. If we provide a wrong credential, either username and password is wrong. If you try to execute and check for the response, what it returns the error code 500 and message invalid credential. Next, we can integrate PAST API and Spring Boot. So go to Gateway project, open the file authentication controller and modify the sign-in endpoint to connect with Spring Boot. Async with httpx dot async client as client. Once object is created, then response equal to await by using the object client dot post. It takes two parameter. One is the complete URL to access the endpoint. So we can use the base URL from the variable Spring URL, concatenate the remaining part of the endpoint. That is slash user slash signin. Then pass data in the form of JSON. So JSON equal to the parameter object u dot model dump. Then return the response. Return a response in the form of JSON. So now we modified the endpoint sign-in to integrate with the Spring Boot. We can test from the front end. So go to the browser, open the tab where front end is running. We can check the login functionality by entering a valid username and password. Then click on Let's Start button. If the username and password is validated, then it navigates from login page to home page. Let us try with wrong credentials so that we can start from beginning. Enter the email ID and provide a wrong password intentionally. Then click on Let's Start. It returns the error message invalid credential. Then try to log in with proper username and password. Then click on Let's Start. It will validate with the database table. If validation success, it navigates from login page to home page. Then use Ctrl+Shift+C for the Chrome browser. Then go to the tab application. There you can find local storage. Then click on the link of your front end. You can see the token which is generated and returned from the backend. That was saved securely with the local storage in the front end for future use. So copy the token which is generated. So click here and select all, copy the token and go to the website jwt.io to explore the content of a token. In this website, remove the default token and paste which is copied from the front end. Now you can explore. There's three parts. First part having the algorithm. The token is generated by using the algorithm hash algorithm 384, and the payload of the token will hold the user's role and user's name and the date and time when it is issued and when it is expired. And third part will have the signature. So in this section, we understood JWT authentication, learned the structure of JWT tokens, explored how JWT token are generated and validated. In the next session, we will continue implementing a protected APIs and role-based access functionality in the MicroTask project.